Hello and welcome. How do you like it? Took me like, well, I don't know, like maybe almost 3 minutes to kind of find this spot here. And it looks gorgeous. The background looks so pretty because it is so pretty. So I am going to be doing some card pulls. If you would like a card, if you're joining me here live, even if you're on the replay, just know that any card that I'm going to pull is for always the collective. And so I'm going to start shuffling. And as I start shuffling, I am, let's see, I can see some people hopping on right now, but I can't necessarily see. I'm not giving, oh, here it is, comments. Yeah. All right. So if you do want a card pull, then let me know down in the comments and I should be able to see it. StreamYard kind of changes up a lot. So there we go. Hey, Eddie, great to see you again as well. Hey, Samantha. Okay, so if you would like a card, please let me know down into the comments. I'm going to be doing intuitive card pulls based around the topic that I set this live around, which is overwhelm and anger and where it actually comes from. So let's talk about it for just a moment. Overwhelm is really anger that has got built up, so much so that it becomes overwhelm, right? And anger, overwhelm, all emotions are all energetic frequencies. Whoa, losing stuff. They are stuff that we can measure with different scientific tools. But the first time that I learned that, it gave me some hope around emotions. It gave me hope and belief that, well, emotions being something that we can actually measure, it means it's something that we can actually change. And it is something that we can change all the time. By being a conscious human, we get to consciously choose our emotions all the time. And so when we talk about overwhelm and we talk about anger, where does it truly actually come from? Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to hit that, but I guess it's meant to like be seen, Samantha. So I'd love a card, please. Absolutely. I'm going to pull you a card. First, what I'd love to do here is just kind of share something that I was talking about in my Rise Tribe. So Eddie, you said to see you again. It's because Eddie is in my Rise Tribe. And so I don't know, a story where yesterday I went on a hike. And I went on the hike because I wanted to get to this waterfall. It's this small waterfall in southern Salt Lake, not southern Utah, but in Utah, south of Salt Lake. And so anyways, I hiked to the top of the mountain and I found a rock and it was beautiful. And I was sitting on the rock and I was running quantum expansion and I was doing some meditation. And then a family came up and it was a mom and two kids. And the kids were about 7, 8, and maybe 10, 11 years old. But these two kids were not listening to the mom and they were getting really close to the edge. And then they went to this area where they could walk down a little tiny hill, which I could see from the top of the mountain that I was at. They were about 40 feet from me. And the two kids climbed down to this really large rock that overlooked the waterfall. So at the top of the rock literally was the straight drop right down. The water kind of came off the side of the rock and then complete straight down, straight drop from the waterfall. And they were not listening to their mom. And they walked all the way out to the edge and they stood up. They were waving to everyone that was at the bottom of the waterfall. And incredible anger come up in me. It came up in me around the kids because the kids were not listening to the mom and they were doing something that was incredibly dangerous. And anger come up in me around watching the mom be what I was judging as very nonchalant about it. She was kind of like, hey guys, get back down. Don't get so close. I mean, they literally were on the edge. Just don't get so close. Hey guys, and in my judgment, and she was very monotone in it too. There was no emotion. I mean, right? So the anger that was coming up in me was all of the ways that I would have like never allowed my children to get that close to the edge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can see like where the story might be coming up for you. Well, in all of my teachings, in all of my awakening, what I know for sure is that any emotion that comes up, it's never about the other person. It's not actually because the kids were doing something that was very life threatening. It wasn't that the mom was, in my opinion, not being as commanding as she needed to be to protect her children's lives. It was that there was something within me that this anger was coming up. Everything is a reflection back within. And it's a pretty huge radical self-responsibility that I ask my clients to call themselves higher and higher and higher, and to recognize within them that when anything happens on the outside of them, anything at all, that they recognize that it's because something within them is bothering them. So here I was at the top of the mountain, at the top of this waterfall, getting angry that I came up here to meditate and to have some peace, and that I was terrified. I was more terrified in my perception for these kids than the kids were or the mom. And so I did what I do, and I coached myself through it. And I was asking myself, why is this bothering me so much? Why is there such anger and fear and this overwhelming fear and anger coming up in me? And so I sat with it, and I did something very humane in that I allowed myself to feel my feelings. I allowed myself to be really fearful. And I allowed myself to remember that absolutely everything is always happening in divine order to awaken us to our truth. And so as I sat there at the top of the mountain, what I realized is that the fear that I was really feeling was that I wanted to be those kids. I wanted to walk down and to peek over the edge of the waterfall, but I was terrified. I was terrified. And so the analogy of all of the times that I've wanted to do something, but I was terrified of what someone else might think of me, or I was terrified of the repercussions. And so this is the overwhelm, the anger that can build up in us. It actually had nothing to do with the kids. It had nothing to do with the mom. It had everything to do within me. So a few minutes later, they left. That family walked and they moved away, and they moved away as in they went back down the mountain. And so I thank them for bringing this great awareness of the anger that I had built up within me. And if you're hopping on live and you'd like a card, please let me know down in the comments, and I will pull a card intuitively for you. And I have Samantha up first, and then Eddie, and then anyone else that would like a card as well. So I just want to finish this story to kind of let you know, like, this is why I wanted to hop in and share this story and pull some cards also for you all. They walked down, yes, literally wanting to live on the edge, changing the perspective. Absolutely, that's exactly it, Samantha. So as they walked back down the mountain, I sent them gratitude for bringing this awareness up into me. And without hesitation, I got my phone out and I turned the video on, and I flipped the perception, I flipped the camera view around, and I propped it up with my water bottle and some rocks. I kind of makeshifted around, and I recorded myself walking down the little slope where the river was kind of pooling. This is all snow melting, pooling. And I laid down on the rock and I inched my way to the edge. And I peeked over. And the feeling that I had come over me was, this ain't no big deal. That this was so much more terrifying from the top of the mountain looking down than it was actually being at the edge. And so then all of the other analogies that come up around me judging the kids and the mom and her responses is once you're down there and you're actually looking right over the edge, it actually didn't feel like that big of a deal. But how many of us have stood on our high horse, the top of the mountain, looking down at everyone else, walking themselves out to the edge, doing the things that we really desire to do, saying the things that we really desire to say, being the things that we really desire to be, and judging and getting angry and getting overwhelmed and living in fear and never taking the literal steps to bring yourself to the edge. And so that's the point in this. That's the point in doing this intuitive card pull is I'd love to pull a card for you that will be your breakthrough. What is it that your higher self is asking you to do in order to break through and so nonchalantly just decide that you're going to take yourself down and peek over the edge and do the next thing that feels super edgy and super scary. And like, I have no idea what's on the other side of this cliff. But what I do know is sitting from this perspective, watching everybody else do it is not going to work for me anymore. And so I'm choosing on this 3 of Diamonds day that's asking you to really lean into some creative energy. So something that feels like super out of the box that you normally would not do, but in a very physical kind of way. So that's going to be the intuitive card pull for today. And my hair is all in my face, so super itchy. Okay, so Samantha, you are up first. And if you are just joining live, if you would like a card, please let me know down in the comments and I will pull a card for you and we'll find out what is it that is your breakthrough in order to step into the next, super edgy thing that will get you what it is that you desire. And I can hear my Mac is getting really hot all of a sudden, so I'm going to make this quick. Alrighty, Samantha. Oh, she said I needed that last sentence today. Thank you. You're so welcome. Alrighty, Samantha. Your card is, ooh, yes. Chrissy, absolutely. So King of Clubs for you, Samantha. Samantha, you're being asked to speak your mind, to speak your opinion. The King of Clubs is the ultimate observer and action taker. And the fact that it's in the clubs, this is the mental and the communication, the career oriented pathway. So your key to breaking through, Samantha, is to speak what you really desire to do in your career into existence. This means that you come here live and do a Facebook and you just talk out loud about what it is that you desire to do. What is a true, so my private mentorship, I named it the Royalty Code because true royalty reigns in love. True royalty reigns in confidence, in conviction, not only for themselves, but for literally everyone. So the king is the ultimate, gets to sit on its throne, right? It's not masculine, it's not feminine. It's an energy of, I have done and been all of the things, and I have risen to the one that gets to experience this view. So the view, and in the clubs, I get to really be the leader that you really desire. So doing something today, Samantha, that would be of high leadership. Maybe you reach out to someone that you've been wanting to work with and you let them know what it is that you desire for the next step in your career. But the King of Clubs is really asking you to use your voice, to speak out loud, to come to a meeting of the mind, so to speak. So someone that you've been wanting to work with or a way that you've been wanting to show up in the world. This is your breakthrough for today. That's a beautiful energy, the King of Clubs. Let me know how that resonates for you, Samantha. If you've been holding your tongue, if you've been thinking, well, when the time is right, then I'll talk about this program or this offer that I want to put out. The time is right. That's your breakthrough. Go ahead and put it out. Alrighty, Eddie. Eddie's next. So Eddie, your breakthrough is the Jack of Clubs. So lots of mind, lots of mental energy. The club again represents what we're thinking about, right? It's the career. And so the Jack of Clubs, I have actually two people that are really close to me in my life that are Jack of Clubs. This energy is either on the low side, I'm willing to fool myself. I'm willing to lie to myself to get to what I believe is kind of what I want in the here and now. And it's okay. It's, um, I'm willing to tell myself something over and over and over again in order to get the bare necessities. The Jack of Clubs on the high side, though, Eddie, is asking you to take the initiative to step into the next for you. So think of the way that we move through the numbers, the 2 through 9, and then we get to the 10, the full expression. And then all of a sudden we move into the suits, right? We move into the Jack. And the Jack says, I'm really easily could go backwards, but I just as easily could go forward into the rest of the royalty suit. And so it's this new initiation. It's the higher side that I know you're leading into, Eddie, this being pulled forward into what is my future. So again, speak this out loud, come into communication with someone else, many other people, but at least one other person you say this out loud to. Maybe you write about this and then you post it. Maybe you write about this and then you share it with someone else. But the Jack of Clubs asking you to initiate yourself into the next level of you and do so in a very mental kind of way. So saying this out loud, pulling it from what I'm thinking about into what I'm speaking about. So yes, Samantha said yes. Love it. Thank you. Love the court cards. Yeah. All right, Chrissy, it is your turn. And then I think what I'll do after Chrissy, unless someone else pops in here and asks for a card, I think what I'll do is pull a collective card for everyone. And then I think my Mac being out in this hot sun says it's had it. I can hear the fan going on it. So let's see.